Greetings. I wanted to welcome you to STR251 again and your first assignment. And I thought I'd get you started by showing you how to create the correct kind of file. In your assignments, I will give you exact pixels, generally speaking, unless I'm giving you a little bit of freedom. For the most part, for the first couple of assignments at least, I know I give you some pixel dimensions, and I don't know what those are off the top of my head, so you'll want to refer to your assignment for that. But you're going to want to start by going to New File over here and clicking this New File button over here on the left. And once we do that, you can title your file here. This is where you're going to want to put your name, please. Your last name would be great. And the assignment keyword. In this case, it's principles. And that way I know what assignment I'm looking at. And there are a few important things here that I want to talk about this window in particular. First of all, there's a bunch of different, you're not going to have anything in your recents here, but there's a bunch of different things up here that are essentially intents, or what is the final outcome you're going for. Now, we are not going to be doing anything in print in this class because everything is being done electronically, online, asynchronously. With that in mind, we're going to want to create everything with web intent. That make any sense? I hope it does. And what does that mean? Well, right now it is set up for a print assignment. And how do I know that? Let me make this bigger. Well, because the color space is cyan, magenta, yellow, and black. And every color printer you've ever used uses those colors. We want to use what screens use, which is RGB color. And we'll talk about this more. I do talk about this more in your color lecture. I will touch upon it briefly, but just know that we're always want to be always make sure you're in RGB color. I'm going to set this up wrong on purpose because I'm going to want you to see how you can fix it. Also, I do not ever need 300 pixels per inch. That's a printing standard, but we're not printing things here, are we? So we want to go to a screen standard, which is 72 pixels per inch. Please, 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 please make sure things are 72 pixels per inch and an RGB color. And the way you can do that real easily is just by going to web, for instance, and you'll notice that it changed everything automatically for me. I can have this, let me go back over here to where I was at recent, and I'll pick up on recent, where we go over here, recent, and tabloid where I was. And you'll know that I'm back at 300 and CMYK color. But the minute I jump to web, you'll see that I have RGB color and 72 PPI. So that's what I mean by intent. So making sure we're in the right color space and the right resolution is important. The next most important thing is pixels versus points. If you looked at our last preset I showed you, and go back to recents and tabloid, notice it's in points. Now, a point is a unit of measure that we will not discuss until we get into typography. And even then, I will just discuss it briefly on one slide because we're just talking about units. But what we always want to work with in this course is pixels. Pixels. So please, pixels, pixels, pixels. And why, you say? Well, because it gives us a standard that is screen resolution, and screens are what we're looking at. So I'm going to say, let's say I'm my first assignment here to be, and again, I am just making this up out of the top of my head, 1200 pixels by 1000. Maybe, and you can pick your orientation. Again, I try to give you as much flexibility. I'm going to want this landscape for myself, and I'm just going to create one artboard. You do have an assignment that requires 5 different illustrations. You could, in theory, put 5 artboards here. And then you're going to see that you're going to have 5 artboards when you create this, or you can create 5 separate files with 1, which is what I normally do. So I normally leave that at 1, and just make 5 separate artboards. And I'm going to make sure this is an RGB color, but I'm going to leave this. Actually, I'm going to put this at 72 PPI, and the easy way would have been to do this, right? And go on 1200 by 1000. And RGB is already there, 72 PPI is already there, and I'm going to create this thing. So here we go. Now let's say that you accidentally don't see the words RGB here. This is where you're going to see the words CMYK or RGB. I can change this at any time. Very handy. Very simple. You just go under the File menu here at the very top. I think I will turn this back on. The File menu at the very top. And you go down to Document Color Mode, and you can see right here, I have CMYK color mode or RGB. So if you look here and you see CMYK at the top of your tab, you know you're in the wrong color mode. Go to File, Color Mode, and change it to RGB. And Document Setup is also where you can edit your artboard size and change a few other things that we're not going to get into today. But you do have a document setup there in case you do need to change your artboard size. Okay, so that said, I now have something here that's our first assignment, let's say. And let's say you're going to do your assignment. Your first assignment calls for nothing but black and white and grays. And I'm going to go down here. I should have a whole bunch of grays. Here we go. And I'm going to use some of these primitives. And you'll notice I'm hanging things off the artboard. Why would Paulo Rano do that? I am hanging things off the artboard because I want you to see how we trim things, because I want things submitted trimmed to the edges of the artboard. So I want to show you how to do these things. So these are our primitives. And polygons, you by default you get a 6-sided polygon. It gives you a hexagon. But if you double click on the artboard, you can tell it how many sides you want. So you can actually get a triangle if you wanted. There we go. Oopsie. Did not mean to do that. All right, perfect. You'll notice if you hover around the corners of your item, you can actually rotate it, and you can also stretch. But I talk much more about tools in another assignment here, or in another video, I should say, not another assignment. Make it a little bigger. Lovely. And make this one a little darker because I'm being fussy. Okay, beautiful. So I've got this, and I want to export this. Now, if I cannot just save a file out of Adobe Illustrator. Why? Well, Adobe Illustrator is a vector-based program, which means everything you are seeing here is described mathematically. It works very much like your laser printer works. Your laser printer, when you size things up to print them out, your type, it will scale up without getting pixelated because it is described mathematically. That's how fonts are described. And so this program describes every shape made in it. So this is all mathematical, and the advantages of having a mathematical program like Illustrator, a vector-based program like Illustrator, is that you can scale these illustrations infinitely. What do I mean? If I design a logo once in Illustrator, I can repurpose that logo over and over, and I can put it on t-shirts, put it on the side of a truck, and I can even put it on a billboard or a building and make it 35 feet tall, and it's not going to get ever pixelated, and it's never going to lose resolution because it is mathematically described. So that is what Illustrator does. With that said, I can't just save as a JPEG. Save on your computer always. It's a lot easier just to upload things that way. Notice I don't have a JPEG option. Don't ever upload a PDF. I'm not going to grade it for you. I'll tell you right now. Be warned, I will not grade anything that is not visible to me in the Canvas window when I go to the internet because it's a requirement of this course for you to follow directions. So since we cannot just do a save as, we have to export. And I'm going to pick the middle one. Don't go to export for screens. I know it sounds tempting, or export for web. It sounds tempting. Don't do it. You want to go to export as. And export as is going to give you all sorts of options down here of what you can export it as. I'm going to name this my last name. Oopsie, I'm going to pick something first, and I'm going to pick JPEG, the old trusty JPEG. PNG is another option, but JPEG allows for a few other things that PNG does not. And what is that particularly? JPEG will allow me to, I believe, remove the color from the image, where PNG will not. Anyhow, PNG or JPEG are the two I recommend. I'm going to go with PNG this time. And here's the key. I'm gonna uncheck this box, use artboards, okay? And I'm gonna call this Polarano dash principles and export this to my desktop. There we go, and export. And I'm going to make sure, look, I'm at 300 PPI. I can change that here to 72 screen. Make sure you always do that. Leave everything else as is. Oh, except maybe here, background transparent. I don't want a transparent background. I want a white background on this thing. You might not want a white background one day, so now you know where you can get a transparent background. But for all intents and purposes, we want white backgrounds. This is the difference between a JPEG and a PNG, by the way. A PNG has an option for transparency, and a JPEG never will. A JPEG will always, always, always save your image with a white background, and it will never have transparency. So there, we learned something else. I'm going to hit OK. And now it has saved that. I'm going to do this one more time. I'm going to do what? File, export as, the middle option. And I'm going to use artboards this time. And I'm going to call this, let's go to our desktop and find what I just did here by the date added. Do you think I would be up there? I thought I put it up there. That's September. Oopsie. There it is today. There's going to be Polarano Principles trimmed. And you'll see the difference. So, making sure everything is okay there. Beautiful. So the way this is supposed to look is it's not supposed to have a circle in the corner, nor a little added little flag over here in the corner, right? It's supposed to be chopped off so that this is a rectangle and this is just a little slice of gray in this corner. I'm going to go to my desktop, and I'm sorry if I'm going to scare you with this. I'm going to stress some people out. But on my desktop, do it by date modified. So today is at top. Here is the PNG that I originally exported, and you'll notice a complete circle is there. I'm hitting the space bar. What you're seeing is what I am clicking on, or what I am doing with my keyboard. And this one up here is the one that is trimmed. Notice how it is trimmed the way I intended it to look. Always trim your work. Always trim your work. You will be docked if your work is not properly trimmed. So this is correct. This is incorrect. Seeing the whole ball. And ironically enough, I'm not seeing the whole square, which I thought I would. Oh, that's very interesting. That's very, very interesting. And it could just be this preview as well. Let's see if we see the whole thing. We don't. That's very interesting. So it cropped the left-hand top corner, but it did not. Or did it? Yeah. Oh, it cropped it. You see, we're here a little closer here. So it did it all. Had me confused there for a moment, but you can see the difference between trimmed and not trimmed. Anyhow, that is how to begin and end your project. Always make sure to save your work just in case you have to go back and edit it later. Once you export it, it flattens all of this stuff out. It does not save all of this information. It is saving a format that is applicable to the internets and not necessarily applicable to editing it later in Illustrator. So you're always going to create a .ai file when you save an Illustrator file. And how do you know a file has been saved or not? If you look here very closely, see that asterisk underneath the 2 here, or next to the 2 in untitled in the title of the tab? That asterisk says it's not saved. The minute I go to File and Save, watch that asterisk. I'm going to say Save on my computer. And I'll just go to the desktop. That's fine. And blah, blah, blah. Fine. It goes away. So in all Adobe programs, an asterisk next to the tab and next to the name of a file on a tab means it is unsaved. Always save your work. It will be a .ai file. That's what we're looking for in Adobe Illustrator. That's what AI stands for, Adobe Illustrator. Okay, so hopefully that was useful to you, and I'm looking forward to seeing your work. Have fun.